also with this whole thing of the spiritual journey, it just makes more sense to me if those things exist. Because if they don't exist, I'm just having a really shitty time for no apparent reason. And I'd much prefer there to have been a reason for it. I don't think I've done anything bad in this lifetime, particularly. So I'd really like, there to have been a past life thing that I did. Like I was a real git, and then that's okay because then I can start to clear that. So if we believe in past lives, then there may be past lives when we have made contracts. So if we brought up in a convent or a nunnery, or as a monk, and we pledge ourselves, they have to go through that pledging of allegiance type thing to devote their life to God or to Jesus or to the Buddha or to Allah or to whoever it is in whatever way it is. In that lifetime, that pledge may be the most important thing that they can do and a part of their karmic journey. And that's great. But they will pledge that allegiance and that love for all eternity. So in that lifetime, let's say it's the 14th century, then that lifetime is great. But that will echo through all subsequent lives because we've made that pledge for all eternity.
Wow.
And in a subsequent lifetime, so for me in this lifetime, having had memories of being a monk in past lives when I made declarations of poverty and chastity and that type of thing, there were certain times in my life where I was chaste and I was poor because those soul contracts were still somewhere in my energetic field, somewhere in the back room of my mind. When I would go, cool, I want to make lots of money and I want to be successful, and this little thing would go, actually, I think you'll find that you said in 725 BC that you were going to be poor. So that still applies. And there's this little, karmic accountant sitting on my shoulder saying, no, and I'm afraid you can't be rich, Mr. Morgan, because 2,500 years ago you said that you were quite happy not having any money. So
You're making me laugh with this, but it's I think that you have to use these analogies because it's the way you understand, isn't it?
hopefully, and it's point of
Yeah.
having worked in schools for a long time, you have to make people pay attention, to educate and
You
to
do,
entertain.
yes.
So so we have these little karmic accountants, and they would have this memory of this contract,
Mm.
And I had terrible trouble with my knees as a young man. Did lots of sport, did lots of heavy lifting and carrying and moving, so my knees were fairly knackered. And so when I was doing this stuff, it would go, well, actually, you'll find, you had made this pledge of obedience. So there was a whole lifetime of genuflecting and spending time kneeling at an altar on the cold um, stone floors, and that gave me arthritis in that lifetime, which then carried forward energetically to this time. It would sort of rumble on a mound. Is this sort of making sense?